Hey, what's up, everybody? Rock and Roll James, right here on the Rock and Roll James Show on YouTube. And my guest today is Joe Luna, also known as Juni Moon.
Cheers.
All right, I've got Joe Luna, also known as Juni Moon, here on the show with me. First time I ever caught wind of this guy was back around 1983. I was at my cousin's house in Harlingen, Texas, and he said, man, there's a party going on at Dixieland Park, and there's going to be some live music, you know? So I said, yeah, let's go, man. I was in junior high. We head on over to Dixieland Park in Harlingen, Texas, and there was a makeshift stage made with picnic tables. And when I got there, I saw one of the most energetic, flamboyant bands I had ever seen in the Rio Grande Valley. And I was into the music scene since I was in 7th grade. I was around 8th or 9th grade around this time. And the lead guitarist was especially noticeable because he was playing the guitar in all different ways, you know. And he had a lot of talent. And this is the guy right here, Joe Luna, man. How you doing, Joe?
I remember that show. And the crazy thing was, we did put picnic tables together. Yeah. And when my drummer, A.J. Mancabelli, quick shout out to A.J.
Yeah, from, what's the name of his band?
Thunder Rosa, man.
Thunder Rosa out of Austin, Texas. A.J. Mancabelli.
He's still hitting it hard. He's on the road right now. Mm-hmm. But I just remember the tables kind of moving back and forth a little bit from his, playing.
Yeah.
And we had stacks. We had our stacks, because we were into, looking big, So
1983, folks. Back then it was you had bands like Motley Crue and Rat rising up into the stratosphere, and every band wanted to be there with them, and that's what the band. What's the name of the band anyway, man?
The one I was in playing that was Steel Heart, man.
Steel Heart.
There was a few. I mean, we can go back and as a matter of fact, let me just mention real quick. I do want to say that sending my condolences out to the family of Timothy Morris. Timothy Morris was the original singer for Steel Heart, a band that we formed in high school when we were going to Harlingen High. Go Cardinals! But so he passed away a couple of days ago. So
you were born in Harlingen, man?
Yeah, I'm from Harlingen,
and grew up and raised in Harlingen.
Well, no, man. The thing is, my dad was working, like, we were in Wyoming, we were in California, Michigan. We did a lot of traveling. I mean, I went to several different schools, man. Never really made friends because we moved so often. So my thing was comic books. I got into comic books, and music was always, comic books and music. They were my friends, man. And so whenever we would come to Harlingen, eventually my dad, what happened here in a nutshell, my dad wound up getting a permanent job in Harlingen, and then we didn't have to go anywhere else. And that was when I was in the 4th grade.
Was the reason that you all were traveling upstate was to work the fields, and were you?
Family? Oh yeah,
Where did you work, or what do you remember?
Well, check it out, man. This is the thing that I remember, and I to this day, if I am in California and if I'm like in the San Fernando Valley area, the aroma, it just brings back memories. Wow. Because like Wyoming has it's weird to say, but yeah, these states have their different aromas, and they just bring back memories. If I'm somewhere and I get a whiff of a certain fruit or something, reminds me of California.
Yeah. Well, lots of families back in the day in the 70s, there were big families, and they'd travel all over the United States from South Texas. They'd board up the windows in summer, and they'd work all summer long in fields in different states upstate, or up in.
I have a lot of memories of that.
And they basically came back and they'd go to school here, but during the summer there was a lot of work.
Yeah, and we traveled, and like I said, we traveled a lot back then, and that it gets in your blood, because to this day I love to travel. I feel like I go a little crazy if I'm not on the road going somewhere, after so much time, It's and I think that's also true for my dad, because once he settled down and got a permanent job in Harlingen, he started drinking more. And here's the thing, man. The bands that I formed, the first couple of bands that I formed, we were notorious for being one step ahead of the law. We were always causing trouble, man. And the band members that were in the band, like Steelheart, we had A.J. Mancabelli, we had Juan Carlos Casas, and we were, we came from like broken homes. We were all like, we didn't have things weren't going so good at home, man. Yeah,
it was a dysfunction.
So we were taking it out. We'd get together and play music, and our anthems, man, were like "Running Free" by Iron Maiden and "Breaking the Law" by Judas Priest. Those songs were always they were always in our set list, because those were our songs, man, because that's the way we were living.
Wow.
I mean, we jumped from the myself traveling a lot with my family, because we were migrant workers, and we went and picked carrots, grapes. I'll tell my daughter's stories of how the raisins are made, and I tell them how it works, how the people, they pick the grapes and they throw a paper on the aisle or the row, and then they dump the grapes on this paper, and they're getting paid by how many little pallets of grapes they're making, and there's a little tractor that's following them, and I remember all that, and it's really cool. But I'll tell stories like that, and it's like, wow, it's just a different world that you were in.
That's awesome.
And it's true. It's true. It's like I've lived different lives.
It's totally different than what it is today. A lot of youngsters don't understand the life of a migrant family from South Texas.
Yeah,
it's a lot different.
You learn about hard work, and then what you get for that hard work. You learn. I learned,
and to appreciate every penny you make.
Yes, I learned from a young age that you work, you earn it, you earn your money, and then you got to watch how you spend it, because sometimes it's not easy to earn that dollar,
So you were, you were in a migrant family. Your father decided to, he got a job. He decided to just stay in Harlingen, and then you picked up the guitar. And how did that come about? How old were you when that happened, man?
Well, it's
and what attracted you to it?
Well, what happened was music was always part of my family, and again, going back to working on the fields, my uncles and my family and the people that are working in the fields, they're all taking turns singing. They start, whether they're hoeing, or whatever, they're singing all day long, man. And without instruments, and it's beautiful, it's like it's beautiful to hear them sing, and that's how I got like into music, because I saw what it was doing. It was kind of like making people happy while they were doing something that maybe wasn't the
greatest
easiest
thing to do.
Or the greatest thing to be doing, but music did it, right? My dad plays an accordion, and so he was always trying to teach me, how to play the accordion. He loved the accordion. When I picked up the guitar because of my uncle on my mom's side.
And how old were you?
I was probably in about the 4th or 5th grade. Because what we would do is my uncle, they call him La Bacha, which I don't know what bacha means.
Bacha is like the roach of a joint.
Oh,
that's what we would call it, or that's the slang term for that. But bacha means badge. I would imagine, badge, like the badge of a policeman.
Okay.
Yeah, me enseñó la bacha.
Yeah.
La badge. I think that's what it is. But we used to say, a little roach, we'd call it, hey, pásame la bacha. So that's what we would call the roach of a joint.
Learning something. Cigarette. Damn, this show is educational, man.
For all the bad things and the good things. So they call him La Bacha, and he played
my
guitar.
uncle, he played requinto. And if just so you know what a requinto is, basically, if you listen to Mexican music, the soloing guitar in the Mexican music, the guitar that's basically doing all the lead runs, and that's el requinto. And it happens to be a smaller version of like an acoustic guitar.
It
like
is a beautiful
Yeah.
sounding instrument if you ever look into it.
And so my uncle La Bacha, Lupe was his real name, but they call him La Bacha.
Back then, everybody had nicknames too. So
Yeah, that's how I got mine, Juni.
yeah,
Juni for Junior. Like,
yeah.
you know what? I hate to be bouncing around, but I didn't know my name was Joe because no one called me Joe. Growing up, it was Juni. Juni. When I started going to school and the teachers had a hard time pronouncing my name, they just said, "We're just going to call you Joe." And I remember getting so pissed off.
That's not my name.
That's not exactly. I said that. I yelled that. That's not my name. And I was so angry. You know, when you get so angry, you cry.
Yeah.
I started crying, man, because I was so mad. That's not my name. But anyway, so I mean, I accepted it, and but no, my name is Juni. And
So going back to Bacha,
let's go back. Yeah, sorry about that.
So he played Riquito.
So my uncle lived in Matamoros right here.
Right across the bridge from Brownsville.
And my family, we would go down there and hang out, because my mom and dad, they were pretty young and they were still partying and stuff when we were little. And for them, Mexico was the place to go, and of course, my uncle was always there playing his guitar because that's what he did. He was a musician, and he would take his little trio, and they would go down to the bars right across from the International Bridge where all the tourists were hanging out. And he would go over there and they would play all night, man. And he would just come home with a lot of dollar bills, American money, man. And he was living it. He had the nicest house in his little street where they used to live. And let me tell you, this little street, some of the houses, they had the dirt floors, man, because it's very poor, right? My uncle had a house sitting on blocks, He was a musician. He had the money. And
I kind of turned on a little light in your head then, huh?
well, I don't know that was it, but my uncle would play, there at the house. He'd be practicing or whatever, and I'd always just go over there and sit with him and listen to him play, and I was just really fascinated. And I just, it wasn't like I want to learn to play. I just enjoyed my uncle playing, and I loved listening to him. It wasn't until one summer that we were hanging out at the house, and my cousin, who happens to be my uncle's daughter, Hilda, rest in peace, she said, "My dad's showing me how to play guitar." And she said, "So next time I come see you next month, I'm going to sing you some songs because I'm going to learn how to play the guitar." And I laughed and I said, "You're not going to learn how to play the guitar that quick. You're not going to do it." And just blew it off, man. And we went out and we played like kids do, and just forgot all about it. A month later, she came back to visit, and she brought a guitar with her, and she sang like 2 or 3 songs. She played and sang that guitar, played and sang with that guitar, and I was like, "What? That is awesome, man." And she said, "Yeah, my dad taught me." He said, I'm going to have him teach me how to play." So that's how I started. I went back to my uncle and I said, "You need to teach me to play guitar." And my uncle started teaching me what turns out to be, later on I discovered that what he was showing me was scales. Just a lot of different scales. He wasn't even showing me chords. Well, I guess you can call them chords because they were like two. Whenever you play 2 notes at the same time, it's a chord, and that's what he was showing me, like little runs and arpeggios and little chords. That you just kind of go from this little arpeggio and land on this little chord, and then you take off from this little chord and you do a little thing and you land on another chord and you're making music. And so he was teaching me all these little runs and stuff, and little did I know that later, when I picked up the electric guitar and I was learning how to play rock and roll, American rock and roll on this guitar, listening to Ted Nugent and listening to Jimi Hendrix, when I would hear these songs, already I knew what the dudes were playing. I knew what they were doing on the guitar, because my uncle, the way he taught me all these notes. And so I hear the notes coming out of the record when I'd hear it. So I'm like, I already kind of know where to go, with it. So I picked up the guitar really quick because of that, because of my uncle teaching me the scales in the beginning. So, of course, my friends, and especially my neighbor across the street, Glenn Galvan, he was blown away by this, because one day I'm just making noise, not playing, and then it seemed like by the next day or a week later, he's walking down the street and I'm over here playing Cat Scratch Fever, and he's like, "You learned that really fast. How'd you do that?" I don't know, I just know what I hear, and I know how to make it happen on my guitar, So I learned Van Halen, I learned Ted Nugent, I learned Jimi Hendrix tunes, and then before I knew it,
This was going into your junior high years?
This was 5th and 6th grade.
Oh, wow. Man.
I took a guitar to Coakley Junior High School. I took my acoustic guitar to Coakley Junior High School. That was in the 7th grade. Yeah, 7th grade. And by then I was already playing songs, and I was already kind of singing, And my teacher, Mr. Silva, of I think it was social studies or something. Anyway, it was the start of the school year, 7th grade.
7th grade, probably like 79, 80? Right?
Well, 6th grade was 77. It was the 1976, 1977.
1977.
Because I remember, because we were celebrating the, United States
bicentennial. Yeah, 200 years.
Yeah, so it was 77
Wow.
when it started in Coakley Junior High School.
Yeah.
And so Silva says, "Hey, we're going to do a talent thing, kind of like to break the ice with all of us, so we get to know who we are and stuff. So everybody, bring something that you're good at or whatever to school, So I brought my guitar, and I'm tripping out because for some reason, back in the day, when I started learning to play guitar, Danny Alvarado, who's right here from Harlingen, became my friend in elementary school. I've known him forever. And we'll get to Danny in a little bit. But, we would trade off licks. And Danny would be like, "Okay, I want you to meet this guy." And then this guy knew how to play guitar. And then, of course, Glenn Galvan across the street, he knew how to play guitar. So everybody seemed to know how to play guitar, right? So I take my guitar to school, and it's kind of like everybody's tripping out. "Oh, you play guitar?" And like, "Yeah, don't you?" It's like everybody else I know plays guitar, and I thought everybody played guitar, really. I mean, I really did. I thought, anyway, that a lot of people played guitar, right? But it was a big deal to all these people in my 7th grade class that I brought the guitar. Mm-hmm. So then that was the first time I ever felt nervous. The first time I ever got butterflies, in my life. Because before that, at home playing guitar, and people come over, "Hey, playing. I never got the butterflies."
Yeah.
And then that's what did it. When I realized I'm playing guitar, thinking that everybody plays guitar, but no, I'm playing guitar and nobody else here plays guitar. I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I played La Bamba, man, and blew everybody away. I blew everybody away. If you're out there and you remember, Mr. Silva and that day that I took my guitar to school,
man, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So that's when people started talking about, "Hey, Joe plays guitar," and it got around the whole school.